Hi, this is Ginger with Subtle Impressions, and today I'm going to show you how I made this card using the frame that makes the die that was designed to make this size card. I'm going to show you how I stretched my die cut so that I could make a longer card and use this particular die for the frame. So first thing I did, this is the die set, and it's designed to make the smaller one. And you'll need the outside die, and you'll need the edge die, these two pieces. And what I did to make this one longer is I took my piece of paper, and you can cut it a certain length to start with, or you can use a ruler to measure as you go. I believe I cut mine 7 3/8 of an inch. I don't think this one is, but for the card, you can figure out, depending on what the inside die you're going to use, you can decide how much longer you want it. In this case, my card ended up being approximately 5 by 7. So what you do is you take your outside frame and you go ahead and tape it down so it doesn't move. All right, then I'm going to run it through my Big Shot. I like to do mine face up. I feel like they don't bend the die as bad when I do this, because what I'm going to do is I don't want to cut this, but I do want to cut this side. So I'm going to let my plate hang over just a little bit. So everything will cut but this one end, but I do flip it over because it has a tendency to bow the end just a little bit. So put it down, make sure I'm off of that, and then I'm going to cut it. All right, that keeps it from cutting the one edge. So I just have part of it. Now you're going to move your die down to the other end. And you can measure across here to the size you want, or like I say, if you cut yours to begin with, you know where to put it. So you get it down there, and you can feel the die sit back down into these grooves that are already cut. And then go ahead and tape it back down. Now this time we want to cut this in, but not the center again. So I'll make sure that my top cutting plate is off that cutting edge, because we don't want to cut through it. And then crank it through again. There we go. All right. So now you end up with the size that you're wanting with your tabs, and it's a longer die, and you can make this, well, you can make any size card you want. Just measure it there, make sure that the height works with the die inset that you want to use, and then decide how much longer you want it. Then you can measure from the end to end and cut your paper all that size, and then you just slide it down, line it up here, and cut. So, and then the next thing you would do would be take your blank, center your decorative die, and it needs to be a die that doesn't have an outside cutting edge on it. And so you just center it on there and run it through, and then you will end up with your frames. So to get started on this one, you would need to make 5 frames out of white. There again, you can use any decorative die that you want to. You need to make 1 out of gold. And on 2 of the 5 white ones, you're going to go ahead and trim off the little tabs. We don't need the tabs on there, on 2. So 2 of them will be trimmed off. There'll be 1 gold, and then 3 of the other white ones will have the tabs. You do need the tabs on them. All right. So we get those cut. You'll need to cut 2 of the end pieces with the, there we go, with the slits in it, and 2 without the slits. You want them just plain. On the plain one, if you'll put some double-sided tape on the inside, where these will fold in, on the inside of those. On the ones with the slits, you'll want to put your double-sided tape on the outside when it folds in, right there. So you can go ahead and put your tape on those. And that's your end pieces. Then you'll also need a piece that's approximately 5 by 7, and this is going to go inside the card. This will be the back, rather. And on the inside of the card, I made looks like it's got little stars and circles, so a sky, and I wanted to back it in gold. So this needs to be just slightly less than the 7 inches than your width, but the same height. And then you'll need to cut a piece of gold paper, and I cut it just a little bit smaller because I don't want it hanging out on the edges. So you'll need those pieces. And then you'll need to decide what sentiment you want. And I'm going to do Let It Snow on this one. I'm making it a little bit different than the other, different pictures. And I'm going to offset the white on top of the gold, just so the gold just peeks out a little bit. And how I do that is I just put a little bit of glue. There we go. A little bit of glue on the back so that it'll stick well to the gold piece. All the little ends especially that hang out there. Then I just barely offset it and press it down just so that the gold just shows out. I like to do a little on the top and a little on one of the sides. It doesn't really matter which way you go with it, but just so you have a bit of a gold shadow. I don't know if the camera picks that up or not, but then you'll have a little bit of a gold shadow, and that's going to be for my sentiment on the front. All right. Then choose any trees, any houses. This one has houses and trees. Just use the dies you have and decide what picture you'd like to do. And how I do that is I get my tabbed ones together. And there's 3 of them. And you just stack them up. Move that other way. You stack them up and kind of see how you like how it's developing and how you like the picture. So I like to put just a little bit on the gold one and the main design on the second one. And then behind this one, it's a sleigh. Behind this one, I'm going to put 2 with tree lines. So I've done those, but I was going to show you how I did them. So I take my frame, and in this case, I'm going to put some more trees. So I cut my tree out with my die. I like to lay it underneath, make sure that my frame is square. I use the grid on my mat quite a bit. And then I line the trees up, or whatever it is, about where you want it. Make sure that my trees or my images are square also, because you don't want them to be obviously crooked. And then I take a pencil and I mark. In fact, I'll lift a little. I mark along these bottom edges so that I know where it's going to hang out. I don't want to see it down in these. So I put me a mark, and then I cut just inside of the line. Cut that all off. Then I'll run just a little bead of glue right along the very bottom edge. Lay it down on my mat with my trees straight, and then I make sure my frame is straight and where I want it. Check it again, because I don't want my trees listing to one side, and then glue it down. And then it's glued inside there. In fact, I need to move that down a bit. I didn't catch enough of it. So let's glue that again. And cut that off, it's showing. All right, let's try that again. So we're going to put glue on here. This glue dries kind of fast, so you have to reapply it if you don't get to it pretty quick. All right. And when you're doing this, make sure your tabs are down, because you don't want things hanging out from this top of it. hanging down on things. Okay, make sure your trees are pretty straight. There we go. And now it's glued down on there. And there's my third panel. So here's what this one is going to look like. You can get an idea of how your picture's going to work. All right, so once you get all your panels cut and you decide what you want and get them glued into the panels, then it's time to put them together. And to do that, we're going to start with the solid back piece. This is going to be the back of your card. And you want to get 2 of the end pieces that have the slits in them. Make sure your slits are down. And you've put glue on the, or not glue, but score tape is what I used on the outside edge. So you're going to peel off one side, lay it down. I'm going to hold this over and I'm just going to butt this up against there. Make sure they're even top and bottom. And when I get it where I want it, maybe, there we go. Then just roll this over and stick it down. Then you're going to do the same on this side. Make sure your slits are at the same place that they are on this side. You want them to match up. Top or bottom, really doesn't matter. I typically put them at the bottom. Do the same thing. Line it up and roll it over. Now you've got the basic frame of your card. What I like to do next, on this one, since I'm going to put a back in it, I need to turn this over and put a little bit of glue around the edge to hold this gold piece in place. You can use tape, glue, whatever adhesive you like. All right. And then I'm going to glue this. First off, I'm going to glue this into the back of my card so I can see the stars above everything. But go ahead and lay it in there and make sure you can stand these up without bending this. You want it to fit nicely and not be putting pressure against this and not wanting to fold properly. So once you get that to fit, go ahead and glue it or tape it however you want to do it. It doesn't really matter, whatever you're comfortable with. I'm just going to put some glue around here. Tape might be faster, but I tend to glue things. All right. And then let's put this in. Make sure it's centered like you want it. And press it down. In this case, mine's a little bit long, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my straight edge and I'm going to trim that off while it's flat because I don't want that sticking up above the rest of my card. Just like that. All right. So now you have the inside back of your card. While it's still flat and you haven't put your inside pieces in yet, flip it over and make sure you know top and, oops, no, go back over here. I'm sorry. Turn it back over. And we're going to put one of these frames that we cut the tabs off. I like to decorate the back and put my sentiment back there. Just, you don't have to. I just like to. So we want to glue that down directly over the back. So let's glue it now. Okay. Now if you've got a definite up or down to your frame that you're using, be sure and make sure you get that the top up. In this case, this is the same top and bottom, so it won't matter which direction I put this on. All right, so once you get that stuck, I am going to put on this card, "May your days be merry and bright." I should have made it into a sticker. I didn't think about it till after I cut it. But what I do here again is just turn it over and put little dots of glue all along it to make sure all the little pieces will stay down well enough to get it in the envelope and not get caught on anything. And there again, make sure everything is right side up, because every time I don't check, I glue something upside down. And then you have to tear it apart. All right. Then I'm just going to put my sentiment right here. I just eyeball it just as even as I can get it there. All right, now we've got the back of the card done. And it looks like I missed that. All right, now we can turn it back over. Now we've got the back done. Make sure you've got your sentiment up at the top. Now let's put the rest of our insides in it. So I start with the back most insert and push them through. Sometimes they get kind of fiddly to mess with, but they're not too bad. You can always put these together and then glue your things to them. You can use tweezers, it makes it a little easier. If you're not sure, or if you forget something, you can add it. When you get them in, slide it down to where they're even, top and bottom. Now the next one. Okay. Get it even. All right. And then this is the one with the main picture on it. Let's get it down where it belongs. Then the gold one. And obviously the stiffer the paper, the easier they go in. And let's slide it down where it goes. Although it's not moving for me. There we go. All right, so now that you get them all lined up, make sure they're all in and lined up where you want them. That needs to come down a little bit. All right. Now we're going to put the front on, and it's the other one that didn't have the tabs. So lay it face down on the left here. We're going to do it the same way we did the back, but make sure you've got it face down. Then pull your liner off. Butt it up against there, get it even, and then just fold this over. Now you've got all your layers in on this side, so now we're going to attach them over here. So I usually just start at the back again and flip them over and just work from the back forward. That's not standing up for me. There we go. And you probably can't see what I'm doing. Everything's in the way. There we go. Maybe that'll make it easier. But really all you're doing is just lining these up across the card and putting them on the other side. You can do this as you go, one at a time. It's really, I guess, how you want to do it. Sorry. Just turn it around, make it a little easier for me. Okay, and then once you get that in, you want to go ahead and slide it down in place where it's even with the side. And then do the next one. Here we go. It's a little fiddlier, I think, being a longer one, but I really like the card. I can't keep it out of my way. All right, and then slide it down into place. They have little slits in the tabs, and it allows you to get them in and slide it down just a little bit, and it locks them in place that way. Okay. There we go. Then the gold one. Only I put that in the wrong place. So that won't work. Okay, let's move it down one. Ran out of slots too soon. It's a little harder to do on camera than being able to move it the way you want it. Okay, I'm just going to turn it over. There we go. All right, I think I got it in the right one. Now the gold one. And let's get it down even. All right. Now, make sure you've got all of these even on the sides. See, this one needs to come down a little bit so that it'll, there we are. Because you want all the bottoms even. Now, if you will, just slide this all the way over to the right. Press it down. You should be able to just fold this over right here. And pull the backing off of it. Now this should fold down, and make sure it's even top and bottom, and it will stick right to the edge of it. Go. And there's your card. It'll go either way. Now, I don't really care to see these. That kind of bothers me. So here's what I do to cover those up. The two pieces that you cut without the center slits, you put tape along the outside edges, and then I fold those over, just like that. Then I use score tape. You can glue it. I like to just tape it. It's a little easier. All along the entire back. And I don't have any 1/2 inch, so let's just use 1/4 and 1/8 here. All right, so I've got it all taped. So what I like to do is take my card and fold it to one side. And then I put a little bit of glue under each one of these tabs. Get them to glue down to the side. Then I take one of the side pieces without the slits that we put tape on, and let me peel this off. And I line it up just with the score line there. Make it sure it's even top and bottom and press it down. Now, when you open this back up, all these tabs have got to be folded because they were straight. So I just put my fingers, my thumbs in between, and I press on the tab to fold it as it opens up. And I do that in between each one, so all 4 of the tabs get folded. There we go. Then it'll open like it should. Then lay it the other direction. Do the same thing. I just think it makes a little bit neater finish. You do not have to do it. You could cover it with ribbon, or on one of them I printed a verse, and on this one, before I cut them out, printed the front, the back, and the sides onto these pieces, cut them out, and use those to glue over it. You can really whatever you want to. You can leave them out if you want. This is just how I do it. All right. Okay, let's cover this side up. All right. And then that, well, we'll have to do the same here. Help these little tabs fold a little better so that your card will open properly and look right. Okay, so now it'll go either direction, so you can fold, you can mail it if you want to. For my sentiment, I use the Let It Snow. Yeah, I showed you how I offset that. I'm going to glue that right down there at the center bottom. Just kind of get it. I eyeball most things. I don't usually measure. Just kind of where you think it might need to be. And there we go. That's where it's going. A little crooked. And there you are. That's how I made this card. It's not really difficult to do. It just takes a few steps, and you're able to use a die, a different die for your decorative part, and adjust the frame to fit. So thank you for watching.